I want you to get together.
Welcome, everyone. You're now listening to the Question the Narrative podcast. And this evening, we have a very special guest with us, Paul from Understanding Conspiracy on YouTube. And if you guys haven't heard about him, you need to go check him out, subscribe to his channel. He's doing a lot of good work over there. So, what's up, Paul? How you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So I first came across you probably about a month ago, and I'm not gonna lie, ever since I saw that video about you said if the millennial reign already happened, then who are we? You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
I once I saw that video, it just kind of it's pretty honest ruined my life ever since in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's great, man. It's just it's crazy too because a lot of people they see that just as I did, and I almost scrolled over it, but then it just kind of caught my curiosity because a lot of people when they say that the millennial reign had already happened, it just triggers something in people. And like how you said, you didn't really grow up in the church, and you don't know the quote unquote rules. And so
No.
uh yeah, so I mean, it was a very, very thought-provoking video, and you said something in there that really just caught my attention. And you said that we don't know when we are. And I just had to stop and think about that for a minute or two, and that was just a very profound statement. And I don't know if you'd like to touch in a little bit on what your findings have been, that would be great, just as far as like the timeline and where are we, when are we?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, when you got in touch with me and you were saying, I want you to come on and talk about the millennial reign stuff. I was a bit set back because it's kind of I'm the guy who's known for talking about the Nephilim looking like clowns. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's my thing, and to somehow now be the guy who's talking about this particular topic, it's I don't want to do it a disservice, but I guess I want to preface everything I'm about to say with I'm not the first person to come up with this. All credit where credit's due. There are better people than me out there who have gone into this for years. And a lot of what I've discovered myself is off the back of other people's works, really. And I've got my own theories and ideas along the way, and people just seem to like listening to me ramble on about it for some reason. So I'm happy to do that with you guys today. But
Awesome.
for me, I've been in the conspiracy game for over a decade. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's I've been tracking the subjects as they come and go throughout the years, and how the conspiracy culture and the movement of truthers, follows these trends and concepts and ideas. And I've kind of spent years trying to create a holistic image of the truther culture to understand the conspiracy. That's kind of the name of my channel. So throughout the years, I've kind of deep dived into every topic imaginable and tried to create a bigger picture. So what is going on exactly? What is the conspiracy? How can we condense it into something like an elevator pitch, let's say? How can we best explain this to other people who may not know it's happening? And when the trends I basically saw over the last decade, it seems like the movement went from exposing government corruption initially and people questioning narratives, obviously off the back of something like 9/11.
Right.
People realizing the monetary control, the banking system control, the medical control, the media control, all the worldly stuff it starts with initially. And then things started to get spiritual over maybe the last 12 years. And there's always been this large contingent of maybe new age style truthers, people talking about frequency and consciousness and psychedelic drugs, the pineal gland type of stuff, sacred geometry. So people have always been questioning the validity of reality itself, and from that trend, we saw it slowly evolve into people talking about the flat Earth movement.
Right.
And this came not long after the end of the world phenomena in 2012. Everyone thought the world was going to end because the Mayan calendar was coming to an end. And I think that really sparked people questioning their lives in a big way, because a lot of people were really scared that the world was going to end and they were about to die. And I think that gets the ball rolling in a lot of people's minds to start going towards more spiritual concepts, and that's where we saw the rise of these big ideas, the flat Earth being the first of them, and then from that, from the 2012 period to the 2015 period, and maybe a little bit before, flat Earth was big. Alternative cosmology was huge. And then the Mandela effect turned up in around 2014 to about 2016. That was huge. That was the next big thing everybody was talking about. And people were starting to question reality in a whole new way. And they were realizing things just keep changing. Nothing's consistent. We don't know what is or isn't history. We don't know if our memories are fooling us or if things are being changed, And again, we're not here to get into that today, but I think that also got people thinking that something's not right. Something is not right with our memories or our history. We're way off, And then from the Mandela effect, that kind of dissipated into like a niche subject for a lot of people, and then new things started to rise up, like no forests on flat Earth, which was showing that the Earth seems to be utterly destroyed. What we think is a beautiful planet, or I shouldn't use that word planet. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but what people think is a beautiful creation, a thing, whatever it is, an enclosed system or a thing floating in space, whatever. But what people consider the creation to this beautiful, perfect thing is actually a wasteland that's been absolutely mined to the core, and we're living on the husk of its remains. It's not this beautiful thing. And the trees we see everywhere, the forests, are practically moss in comparison to what used to be there. And I think that got people thinking about, again, history seems to be a lie. Something's not right, and there's always been the Anunnaki people, that believe that we are a slave class created by an alien force that appears every now and then. People then started to get into the whole mud flood thing after that theory started to pop up, and then Tartaria suddenly became the next big topic, didn't it? And
yeah.
Yep.
And then everyone was into, okay, so history really is a lie. And that was obviously based on a lot of the work of Anatoly Fomenko, the Russian mathematician and artist, who came up with this new chronology series where he was trying to explain, that it seems like a lot of history is just contrived and condensed down to remove 1,000 years worth of history that happened, or to make it seem like 1,000 years worth of history has been inserted that doesn't really exist, to lengthen the amount of time that's actually been around. And the way he does that is he goes through these Eastern and Western narratives of great armies rising and great empires rising and falling, and he realizes they're identical, but just with different names throughout the mainstream historical narrative. And what he's trying to say is this particular culture over here that rose to prominence and then fell in, let's say, 400 AD, is this same culture that is described in 1400 AD that rose and fell. But we've been told they're two different ones. So someone's been lying here. Someone's been making stuff up and confusing matters to the point where, he makes this fantastic, compelling case that, we have no idea when we are, really, and the chronology is way off, and history has just been written by the winners, basically. So, all these things I kind of watched throughout the years, and I've never been scared to get deep into each one, with each passing topic. And the Tartaria stuff never quite sat right with me because it's got quite a heavy Gnostic contingent behind it. Quite a heavy, it's all about the Great Reset, there's no hope, everything's about to end, and this world is a prison planet type attitude, and the controllers have full control over everything type of thing. But something was never quite rang right with it for me. Although I could see, yes, there's evidences for a shared global architectural style, which doesn't make sense because the narratives we're told about most of these buildings just don't work. They don't work. They cannot have been built in the time frames they said they were built. And some crazy stories come up that a lot of these buildings were burnt down, then rebuilt, and this kind of, and the supposed technology these people would have been working with, none of it just added up to me. So I could see that was true, but I didn't quite understand how it could. The whole repeated reset thing just threw me off a bit. It's kind of, I feel like we're giving too much credit to this ancient Tartarian Empire or whatever that means, and we
Hmm.
have the history of the Tartars, and we know they were kind of isolated into mainly Siberia, Mongolia region, and Russia. There's no evidence that they were a global empire. Again, I shouldn't use that word, a worldwide empire. So something was off about it, but I knew, yeah, okay, there's clear evidences history is wrong. We are way off, and like many people in the conspiracy culture throughout this decade, I too have been keeping a close eye on the signs of the times. And most of Christian conspiracy, and even just mainstream Christian culture in general, never mind the conspiracy world, has had their eyes on the future coming of Christ. And we're looking for signs of tribulation to come to pass, aren't we? And the signs of the times. We're keeping our eyes on world events, looking for the mark of the beast and the false prophets and all these type of things. And that's predominantly what most people are focused on in the conspiracy culture when it comes to Christian conspiracy and wider conspiracy. Who is going to be the Antichrist? What is the mark of the beast? Are the signs in the heavens proving that we're in Revelations 13, for example, and is the moon at the woman's feet in Virgo, and therefore we were foretold this stuff. And people are just setting dates every month and every year. This is the end. Jesus is coming in this year, and it's been like that for a long time. And I've always seen many antichrists come and go. I've seen many mark of the beasts come and go. I've seen many end times pouring of the vials thing come and go. And none of it. As I'm a Christian myself, don't get me wrong. So that's me. I've been looking and I've been on board with that for a while, this futurist mindset. But then when this video started to appear talking about the millennial reign of Christ, my ears perked up because I realized I didn't really know anything about that. I never really heard of them. No one ever talks about the millennial reign of Christ. I had read it in Revelation, but I never really registered it, if you get what I mean, because it was just not on my radar as something that was important, or it's something that's way in the future that I will probably never see type of attitude. And I especially didn't really know about the little season, that this time after the millennial reign where the devil would be given a short period to take over everything once more, just as he did before tribulation began and before Jesus came and established his millennial reign. But then when I heard this video by somebody called Exploring Tartaria, she mapped
Right.
out this concept, which blew my mind. And I'm sure everyone who's been in this subject now has seen these videos, that she mapped it out perfectly and explained how we can see remnants all over the earth of what people call Tartarian architecture. It seems like it actually, iconography-wise, mainly revolves around saints and Jesus predominantly. And she put forth the idea of, is it possible we're actually in the little season and the millennial reign of Christ has already happened, and all of our history in the modern day, the past 200, 300, 500 years, however long you want to say it's been since the little season started, has been utterly rewritten, and our past has just been covered up to what truly happened. And we are not waiting for the second coming of Christ. That's already happened. The millennial kingdom has already been established in a physical sense on earth. It came in the clouds down with him. He's already resurrected the saints, and the rest of the dead get resurrected after the 1,000 years. And I'll let you speak from it. We can jump off from what I just said there and speculate on what that means to say the rest of the dead have resurrected. But that's basically how I got into it. That was my entrance point into this particular theory. But I sat on it for years, because that video came out years ago, and I've just been taking it all in for years, watching all the videos on this take to explain the Tartarian angle. Well, what's the Christian angle? Because I believe the truth is there in the biblical narrative. That's where I stand. But I'll admit I've never been able to square a lot of things up until this theory. A lot of things just didn't make sense with a Christian perspective until this happened. And I always knew there was something off about the futurist viewpoint, that we're always waiting for Jesus to return and establish his kingdom. The tribulation is about to begin. That never sat right with me. It was just a feeling, a gut feeling, there's something off about it. So when this theory turned up, it changed things. And I'll
Absolutely.
stop there. I'll let you guys speak and see.
No, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And Shane and I, we dug into this a couple of weeks ago, and the whole futurist theory thing and the third temple, and we actually dug into the 70-week prophecy of Daniel. And so the church today as a whole say that there's a pause in the 69th week, and this pause can be 2,000 years. So we're waiting on that last week to come to fulfillment, right?
Hmm.
But the whole thing with the prophecy of Daniel is, at the time he was prophesying that, there wasn't even a second temple that was built yet. And so a lot of people, either by deception or ignorance, are saying, well, that's prophecy of the third temple.
Hmm.
But the thing is that the second temple hadn't even been built yet. And at the cutting off of Messiah on the 69th week, he he literally caused the sacrifices and the oblations to cease. And so they're wanting to recreate that, in a sense where we have to make another temple so that the sacrifices can start up again, in order for the sacrifices to then stop again, which doesn't make any sense because it has already been stopped for, well, I mean, 2,000 years, but I mean, it might be a lot less from what we're speculating, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is what I mean. There's how they can kind of jam 2,000 years into the biblical narrative. You have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to make that, to square that and make that work. I
Yeah.
believe Jesus at his word, and I think when he said, I'm coming back immediately, the time is at hand, I believed him. And I believe he was talking to the people of that time, not to a future generation, us.
I want you to get together.